Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to see you all today, and I would like to thank APT Medical for the kind invitation and the hospitality. This is my conflict of interest, and besides, you can see the Patras University Hospital next to the famous bridge of Rion, and 7 minutes from the hospital is this beautiful seashore and beach. And I invite you all, if you visit our place, to come and have some time, spend some time with us. Now, it's all about the radial access, and we know, interventional cardiologists know very well that we are living a shift of paradigm in that we have shifted from the femoral artery, which is a large artery and very used to be very useful for coronary catheterization and procedures. However, it was associated with complications. So we moved to the hand, we moved to the arm and the hand, and actually the radial artery, and lately to the distal radial artery, which may have some advantages compared to the radial artery, as we show you. Now, talking about the distal radial artery, there are two sides that we can access through the deep palmar. You see, we have the superficial palmar and the deep palmar arch, which actually connect the ulnar with the radial artery. So, through the deep palmar arch, we can access the distal radial artery at 2 points. The first point is here in the anatomical snap box, and the second point, and the catheterization looks like this. You see the sheath in the anatomical snap box, and the second side is even more distal, in a more distal side, called the hego area, the hego acupuncture point. And as you can see, probably from the hego area, you have a more straight course of the sheath through the distal radial artery. In any case, using both techniques, it's very handy to have, along with your angiographer, a dedicated device in which the patient places his hand so as to have stability during the procedure. Now, is the distal radial artery better, has any advantages compared to the radial artery? We have two large studies. One study comes from our center, and it was my honor to work in this study with my colleague who happens to be here, Professor Tsigas. And what we have seen, comparing the snapbox technique versus the classical radial technique, we see, as expected, that with a distal radial artery, you need a little bit more time before successful cannulation of the artery. On the other hand, the crossover rate is high, and it is high because it's a bit more difficult procedure. However, in the same center, as time passes by and as operators acquire experience, the crossover rate gets less and less and less. So it's not big deal. It's not very difficult, but you have to be dedicated to this technique so as to feel comfortable to carry it out. On the other hand, we see that definitely the hemostasis time is shorter for the patient, and this is very important. Patients are very happy. And even more importantly, we see that we may have less radial artery thrombosis compared to the classical radial artery procedure. At the same time, another group in a multi-center study with Adela Mignan, who happens to be a very good friend of our department, and we appreciate him a lot. Actually, they had the same, in a very similar study, the same results. Namely, they had less radial artery occlusions with a distal radial technique. They had higher crossover rate. They had a higher radial artery spasm, because sometimes patients feel a little bit pain from the distal radial artery compared to the classical radial artery. The duration of the hemostasis was also shorter. So in this, let's say, opinion paper, along with my colleagues, Dr. Tsigas, Dr. Apostolos, and myself, we actually try to describe the factors that may reduce the rate of radial artery thrombosis, and you see that amongst them, the two first most important are distal transradial artery access and a reduced catheter and sheath size, which is very important and relevant to our topic and discussion today. Now about the technique. We can see the hands of Dr. Tsigas there. He's doing local anesthesia. This is the snuff box area, the snuff box, technique. Sometimes you need to palpate the artery, but it is not necessary, as you cannot palpate the artery in every patient, but you have standard anatomical landmarks. Then you have to puncture the artery, and puncture the artery, when you approach the artery through the snuff box, you have to be a little bit, you have to have a high, a little bit higher, your needle has to be a little bit more higher compared to the Hegu technique. And then, of course, you put, when you see blood, you put inside your mini guide wire, and then you give a little bit more local anesthesia. Probably you enlarge your incision in the skin so as to be able to introduce the sheath without resistance, because you always have some kind of resistance, as I said, using the distal radial artery. And of course, this is the final insertion of the sheath, and then you give heparin and nitrates for that. Now, some operators prefer, or they feel more comfortable using echocardiography, using ultrasound for safe and, believe me, rapid access to the distal radial artery, which is located here. As you can see, here is the skin, and here is the radial artery. And you can perfectly see our puncture needle. You may be able to see hematoma after a failed try, or you can even see atherosclerosis in the distal radial artery. See here, we have our transducer, we have our needle, and just wait a few seconds and you will see beautifully the radial artery and the needle coming through the skin into the radial artery, the distal radial, and believe me, this is very easy and very, very safe. You only need a few, 1 or 2 minutes if you have the setup ready in your cath lab, 1 to 3 minutes to puncture the artery in a safe way. And of course, hopefully, with the distal radial artery, as I said, or as I showed, you may have reduced complication rates. Now, if we look at the rate of radial artery thrombosis, and if we want to reduce the rate of radial artery thrombosis, these are some of the issues that you have to consider. And as you see, the use of dedicated introducer sheaths, the mini guide wire, a tapered dilator, very important. Hydrophilic coating, at least at the tip of the sheath, and of course distal radial access are keys for key issues for reducing radial artery thrombosis. Now, coming to the specific topic of this discussion, of today's discussion, it is the Braidin introducer sheath by APT Medical, which includes, of course, the sheath, a dilator. It also includes a needle, which I was informed today that has been developed even further to have a nicer and better grip and stability, give the operator stability for the puncture. We have an IV cannula, a scalpel, and the mini guide wire. APT provides sheaths in various sizes, from 4 French to 18 French, but the innovation, I think, is the 6.5 French sheath, and we are going to see why this constitutes an innovation. The hypothesis behind providing a sheath that is actually not 7 French, 6.5 French, so it is the outer diameter is less than the 7 French sheath, and still through this sheath you can do complex procedures. The clinical hypothesis behind it is that it may be more comfortable for the patient and with less complications. Now, about the structure of the sheath, you see that the unique thing, you don't find it in other companies, is that this sheath is actually made from a braided stainless steel mesh. This is the mesh. And this actually provides the sheath with great stability, great radial force and pushability, and kink resistance. Look at this image here. The sheath is very, very elastic, and at the same time, it's very, very kink resistant, which is very important for our patients. You can introduce it with in a relatively easy way. And as you can see, the inside is made of PTFE and the outside is made of PBACs. PTFE and PBACs are polymers. And they have, as you can see in this slide, different properties with the properties of the PBACs making it the most appropriate and preferred material for interventional cardiology devices. Now, apart from the strength that the metal actually provides the sheath, there is another advantage. The advantage is that there is a thin wall design with a larger inside lumen and at the same time an outside lumen that's comparable to the 6 French sheaths. We're going to see that here. Here you see a conventional 6 French, and here is the ABT 6 French sheath, which, as you can appreciate, has a smaller outer diameter with the same inner diameter. So your net gain is the yellow box over there. This is very good for the patients because they do not feel much pain. You can use less local anesthesia, and of course, most importantly, you do not do any compromises. You may have less radial artery thrombosis, and you do not compromise the inside diameter, which is exactly the same with ovaries or a little bit less than other sheaths. You see that the outer diameter is less than most of the commercially available 6 French sheaths. The inside diameter is a little bit less, however, it can perfectly accommodate the 6 French catheter as all other commercially available common sheaths. On the other hand, the 6.5 introducer sheath, as you can see, has an outer diameter of 2.62 millimeters, which is exactly the same with the outer diameter, or even less than the outer diameter of ordinary, of common 6 French sheaths. So it is a 6.5 with an outer diameter of a 6 French sheath. And this is very important because it is not bulky. Excuse me. If you want to do complex procedures like CTO-PCI or complex bifurcations, etc., you need large lumens. And most of interventional cardiologists prefer the 7 French sheaths, but the 7 French sheath is rather traumatic for the radial artery. Actually, the 7 French sheath is recommended for the femoral artery. Now, the 6.5 French sheath is an innovative solution because, as you can see here, it has an outer diameter that is comparable to a traditional 6 French sheath, but the inner diameter, because of the thinner wall of this sheath, the inner diameter is rather large. Instead of being 0.071 inches of the 6 French, it is 0.075 inches, actually 0.3 to 0.5 French larger inner diameter compared to a 6 French sheath. So you have a 6.5 French sheath, which has an outside diameter comparable to a 6 French, but an inside diameter which is larger than a 6 French sheath. And this is very important. It's very close to a 7 French sheath. And this is very important because it can actually accommodate, combined with a 6.5 French catheter. For example, this catheter is also provided by EBT Medical, and it's called the March catheter. It can actually accommodate 2 stents. It can accommodate 2 balloons. It can accommodate 1.75 bare rotablator, whereas a 6 French sheath, commercially available sheath, can only accommodate the 1.5. It can accommodate the IVUS catheter and can also accommodate a microcatheter and an IVUS at the same time, so as to do complex CTO procedures. You see here, bifurcation, side balance protection, 3 guide wires with a stent or 4 guide wires with a balloon, and of course for CTO, superior support, 2 microcatheters, 1 IVUS and 1 microcatheter, or the 175 pair of the rotablator. So this is really an innovation. Now, this sheath actually has other advantages as well. First of all, it has a hydrophilic distal part. and the hydrophilic distal part is very important for insertion of the sheath into the artery. However, the proximal part is non-hydrophilic, and this is an advantage as well because it is very stable. Probably some interventional cardiologists having experience with a totally hydrophilic sheaths like the slender sheath, when you try to pull out the catheter, the sheath comes with the catheter. You don't have to hold this sheath. The sheath stays at position, and it's very clever, it's very important. And of course, hydrophilic coating, everybody knows, reduces the radial artery spasm. Another innovation is the double crossover nature of its valve. You see it here, which minimizes blood loss, along with a dilator, which is locking. It has a locking system on the sheath. You lock it like this, you unlock it like this, and take it out, and it usually never destroys the valve, and you don't lose any blood, which is very important because, as you know, many sheaths in the market have the inside buckle or the outside buckle, and when you take out the dilator, sometimes the valve is destroyed, and then you lose blood, and you have to change the sheath. Another important innovation is this smooth transition zone from the dilator to the sheath. This is the smoothest transition zone that I have found in the market. And if you compare it with other transition zones of commonly used sheaths, like the Terumo Radio Focus or the Medtronic, you see that the difference is of the APT Braidin is important. And this is, of course, very important for the patient, the comfort of the patient and the insertion of the sheath without complications. So what we have here is we have a strong sheath with a braided metal stainless steel layer, which is very flexible and at the same time has kink resistance, but it is also very, very strong and has a possibility to introduce it into the radial artery. We have the 6.5 French sheath, of which the outer diameter is comparable to a 6 French sheath, whereas the inner diameter is comparable to a 7 French sheath. And of course, we have the hydrophilic coating at the distal tip and the very smooth transition zone from the dilator to the sheath. The whole set comes along with a very nice and very, very useful, usable mini guide wire, and of course with a needle for the vein and a metal needle which was replaced, as I said in the beginning of this presentation. They were here, the needles. You have them somewhere to show to people that the new needle has a better grip, and it's very handy for it's also transparent, so you can see the blood coming out, and it's very, very handy and useful for the interventional cardiologist. Now, these are the specifications of the sheath, either for the radial or the femoral approach. In our center, we use the radial 11 centimeters sheath, and this is the comparison with other commercially available sheaths, and you see that the mesh braided layer, the metal layer, is not available in other companies, and the hydrophilic coating of the distal tip is also a feature that is not very common in other sheaths and other materials of other companies. So these are my final conclusions in this presentation, and I'm open to any discussion or any relevant questions you may have, and I have two colleagues of mine here, Professor Tsigas and Dr. Graidis, who have also experience from our center in using the sheath, and we're open to discussion with you guys. Thank you very much for your attention.